Welcome to week 5, our final week in EDC 520, with a focus on translanguaging and social justice. So we've spent the last couple weeks diving into the details of translanguaging pedagogy and thinking about different ways to put a translanguaging pedagogy into practice. This week, we take a step back and think more broadly about the purpose of translanguaging in relation to cultivating more social justice in our schools and in our society. So for this week, you're going to be engaging with 2 readings and a short video that I've included below from Dr. Jose Medina, where he talks about what it means to be a linguistic oppressor as a way for us to think about the work that is required for us to take up a translanguaging stance and translanguaging practices in our classroom to push back against some of the inequitable structures that exist in our schools and our society. So after the video, you will be engaging with the final chapter in your course text, the Translanguaging Classroom book, and I've included a few key ideas for you to pull out and think about as you're reading. And then you'll be reading an article by Li Wei, who is a professor at University College London. And this article was originally delivered as a plenary speech at a linguistics conference in the UK. And I think is a really good reminder that translanguaging is not just a language teaching strategy, but really is a commitment to rethinking how we engage with our students, especially bilingual and multilingual students and those who've been traditionally marginalized in our schools and society, and how we think about creating learning spaces that really honor and validate the language practices and knowledge that these students bring. So you'll be engaging with those 2 readings, and then you'll move to the discussion board. I have several prompts for you this week that you can choose from for your reflection and then response. And then this week, since it is our last week of class, I have 2 different vehicles to collect feedback. One is the university's course feedback, which is called IDEA. Please take a few moments to do that. I really do appreciate feedback, and I always try to get full participation from students in the courses that I teach so that I can get kind of a holistic sense for how the course went and what students liked and didn't like. And then in addition to that, which is helpful as the more formal feedback, I also have my own feedback form, which is a place for you to give more targeted feedback about the readings that you liked or didn't like, kind of specific assignments or components of the course that you found meaningful or that you would recommend that I change for the future. So again, thank you for your time in providing that feedback. I really do read it all, and I take it seriously as I think about the course moving forward. And then finally, and importantly, this is the last week you'll be working on your translanguaging pedagogy portfolio. You'll be submitting that by Sunday at midnight, so make sure to get that in. And I definitely encourage you again to go back to the previous weeks where I outlined in more detail what to make sure you include in the portfolio, and also spend some time looking through the rubric, which outlines the different pieces to include in this publicly accessible vehicle for sharing how you're applying translanguaging. So briefly, remember you want a definition of translanguaging, a description of the context in which you're going to envision enacting these translanguaging pedagogies, and for each purpose, at least 2 detailed examples of translanguaging pedagogies. And I expect to see some of those also with teacher-created materials or perhaps student artifacts, if you have a chance to try some of these out before you put this together. The specific texts you might use, visuals, so try to make it come alive as much as you can so that I can really clearly see what this would look like in practice. So again, you can look through the rubric and see exactly how I'll be evaluating these. And I'm just really excited to see what you've taken up and how you're taking up everything you've learned as you think about applying this to practice. So I hope you have a great final week. I look forward to seeing you at the synchronous class session and engaging with you on the discussion board. And until then, bye.